Hello, beautiful children. I do hope you're feeling well and having a wonderful day, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. It is time for Parshat Mikketz. Are you ready for Parshat Mikketz? Yeah? Okay, let's go for it. Rolling back the time, and one more, rolling back the time, and one more, rolling back the time, and thinking and thinking and thinking. I've got my t-shirt on. Why fit in when you were born to stand out? Let's go for it. Okay, so 12 steps to this week's Parsha. Let's see if I can do it quickly. Not so long, we'll see. Might be long, might be short. Hopefully shorter than longer. Okay, in this week's Parsha, it's been 12 years that Joseph has been in prison. 10 years since he met the butler and the baker. The butler completely forgot him, did not remember him until now, and Joseph has been left languishing in jail all by himself. And in this week's Parsha, it's not such a nice jail, sort of a pit and a dungeon. Not so nice. Vayhi Mikketz shnasayim yamim. It's been an extra 2 years since the last time we touched base, and Joseph is still in prison. The butler is doing very well, but Joseph is still in prison. Along comes Pharaoh with the dreams, back to the dreams again. Lots of dreams, lots of crying in this week's Parsha. King Pharaoh. I had a dream, don't know what it means. Pharaoh goes to sleep and has a dream. And in his dream, there are 7 fat cows coming out of the river. The beautiful cows. For those who love animals, they know that the animals are beautiful, healthy, wonderful, big, vibrant cows. And then after the 7 fat cows are 7 thin, squawky, ill-looking cows. But the most incredible thing is that the thin, squawky little cows eat up the 7 big cows, but they still stay skinny. Now, children, word to the wise, whether we are very big, fat, or very thin, small, we have to be very careful not to call other children or adults or people names, nasty names, and we have to be very careful to make them not feel bad about themselves, because if we call people horrible names, we help give them low esteem and we take their confidence away from them, and we mustn't do that, okay? And sometimes people are fat because they do enjoy their food a lot and they eat their food a lot. And sometimes people are thin and they have lots of food and they don't get fat. And sometimes people are not well and then they might be fat or thin, but it's because they're not well. So we have to be very, very careful not to hurt anybody's feelings. So Pharaoh's first dream of the night, the cows, then he falls back to sleep again. Same night, second dream. I had a dream, don't know what it means. Second dream, out come 7 really gorgeous, luscious, thick corns. They're sort of grains of stalks of grain. And what do they do, these 7 skinny stalks of grain? Well, they eat the 7 fat grains on the stalk. That's incredible. How can you have 7 fat grains on a stalk and then they get eaten by 7 thin ones, as hard as a rock, scorched by the east wind? That's incredible. And the 7 thin, scorched grains on the stalk do not get any fatter. And Pharaoh is very perplexed by this. It's a real quandary. It's a real worry. He doesn't understand, what does this dream mean? And automatically he calls all his necromancers, his magicians, his soothsayers, his funny people, all the gobbledygooks, and they all come out and they all offer ridiculous reasons for these dreams. And Pharaoh is simply not amused. Suddenly along comes that butler and said, oh yes, there was a Hebrew. He was a Hebrew servant. He was in our prison and he managed to say my dream. And of course I'm working for you, King Pharaoh, again. So maybe he could help. So up to number 4. Meet and greet. What a treat. Who is meeting who? Well, Joseph is taken out of the dungeon, the pit. He's shaved. He's given a new set of clothing, made to look spick and span and smart in front of King Pharaoh. So he was shaved, he had new clothes, and what does Joseph say? Is this his opportunity? Is this his opportunity to say, Baruch haba, ich bin da, Hashem be blessed, I'm here? No, he doesn't do that. He says, Pharaoh, I think you should know it's not me, it's God, Elokim yaneh et shlom paro. It's God that will answer the welfare of Pharaoh. Great Kiddush Hashem. Joseph, I can see you're on a step up. Maybe you're going to get out of prison. What was the explanation though? So Joseph explains, listen Pharaoh, it's all very pressing and it's all very urgent. Even though this is going to happen, maybe it's going to be years before this takes place, God is hurrying to action his plan. Sometimes when you action a plan, it takes a lot of time, but you have to get it ready. You have to be proactive and get it ready, get your plan in action. Now, this is not such a wonderful plan, but still, it's the truth and it's history. And so Joseph said, listen, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have 7 really good years, Pharaoh, in Egypt, where you're going to have lots of food. But in these 7 years, you're going to have to really save your corn, have storehouses, because after these 7 years, there's going to be a famine, the like of which you've never seen before. And if you don't prepare, you're going to be caught out. Pharaoh is so impressed by this interpretation because it makes sense to him that he says, okay. And what else would you say? Well, Joseph says, well, actually, I would, encourage the king to choose a man who would be in charge of all these storehouses. Joseph is now 30 years old, children. Pharaoh takes one look at his advisors and one look at Joseph, Yosef, and says, you're the man, you're hired. He gives him a ring. He gives him a gold necklace. He gives him a chariot. He gives him special linen clothes. Joseph, from now on, you're number 2 in command next to me. You are the viceroy. So you see, children, no matter where we get to in life and no matter how much we want to despair and think we'll never make it better, Hashem can change things in an instant. Okay? Adam koneh olam kulo b'shah achas. A man can buy this world in 1 hour. And there's more happiness to come. King Pharaoh says to Joseph, I know just the right girl for you. You're 30, you can get married. And who does he suggest? Well, SPS, some people say, aka also known as the Midrash, that this particular girl that he puts forward, who happens to be called Osnat, but Potiphera, aka probably Potiphar, that she actually is the daughter of Dinah from last week's Parsha. She is the daughter of Dinah, and Dinah's daughter got sent, and she was living as an adopted daughter of Potiphar, the meaty man who bought Joseph from the Ishmaelim. So it all came round full circle. Maybe. If you like to think it, maybe. If you don't like to think it, SPS, some people say. Okay. And they have 2 boys. They have Menashe and they have Ephraim. And in their names, Joseph is admitting the suffering that he has had, but also the advantage that he has had. So there is the suffering, but there is also the advantage. Okay, now it's time for Joseph, number 6. Joseph's got to be busy with the storehouses. And the idea is that Joseph accumulates grain that the Egyptians buy from him. And when they don't have money to buy anymore, then they give him their livestock. And when they don't have their livestock anymore, then they give him their land. And if they don't have any land left, then they give him, the idea is that they're going to give a fifth of all their produce that they manage to grow back to Joseph. Only the Egyptian priests do not need to do that. But apart from that, that's the law for all the Egyptians. Fine. Okay, that's Egypt sorted. What about our wonderful Yaakov and his family and Joseph's brothers back in Canaan? What's going on there? Well, it's the famine. And the news has reached Jacob's household that in Egypt you can get food. And Jacob says, please boys, go down to Egypt and get us some grain. That's the idea. Jacob sends the brothers to Egypt, with or without Binyamin. Of course, without Binyamin. There's no way he's going to let go of Binyamin. He's already lost Joseph. And Binyamin, although he's got 10 sons of his own and is grown up, he's named his sons after all the sadness that is in his heart, because he obviously is terribly bereft of Joseph as well. So the brothers go to Egypt, and they enter Egypt, and they are faced with this viceroy, who incidentally in Egyptian is called Sophnas Paneach, aka their brother Joseph. But they're not expecting to see a 30-year-old Egyptian viceroy as their brother. They are seeing him as an Egyptian. Why would they think it was Joseph? He must have changed a lot. But Joseph knows who they are. And Joseph listens to the brothers talking. And he actually is moved to tears because he hears that they are sorry for what has happened to him. But he still doesn't know, is his brother alive? Is his father alive? Are they really, really, really deep down sorry? Have they done teshuvah really? So he is moved to tears, but he comes back and he decides, I decide, you're a spy. We're not spies, the brother said. I decide, you're a spy. I'm going to keep one of you. I'm going to keep, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a Shimon by its toe. I'm going to keep Shimon as a prisoner. Shimon as a prisoner? Oy vey. What will Yaakov do? That would be terrible for Yaakov. But Yosef is quite sure that he is going to keep Shimon, send the brothers on their way with the corn, with all the grain, and insist next time you come, because obviously Yosef knows that the famine is continuing and they'll have to come back for more food. Don't come without Binyamin. So he thinks, okay, I've really ensured that I'm going to see my brother if he's alive, and I have Shimon as collateral to make sure that they bring Binyamin to me. Very harsh, but you have to realize that SPS, some people say, aka also known as the Medrash, maybe the brothers had made a promise never to talk about Joseph. And Joseph hasn't been able to get word to his father that he's alive. So there's so many question marks. There's no social media. Okay, what's going to happen next? Well, the brothers are obviously very good when it comes to looking after their animals, because they leave and they go to feed their animals in an inn. They've got donkeys. The donkeys were carrying all the grain. You'll never guess what they found in the sacks. Their money back. Joseph had arranged, SBS some people say, aka probably Menashe, had put the money back in the sacks. What do we do? It's too late now. They have to go home. So they go home. There we go. Joseph has returned the sacks with the money. Next time they have to come, they have to bring Binyamin. And they say this to their father. And their father is devastated. What have you done? Why is Shimon there? Why did you tell them about Binyamin? What's the matter with you? Why? And they said, no, but you would have had to be there, Daddy, to understand. It was as if he really knew. He kept asking us about about if we had any other brothers, and about you, Daddy, that you're old. He kept asking, were you alive? And of course, in due course, there was no food left. And Jacob is relentless. No, I don't want Binyamin to go. I've lost Joseph already. You're going to take my Binyamin from me. You're going to, this is going to have devastating consequences for me. I can't be separated from Binyamin. But Yehuda comes up and says, listen, Daddy, I will guarantee Binyamin. just let's go, because all the talking that we're doing, we could have been there and back already twice. Jacob reluctantly lets Binyamin go. That must have been very painful. And Joseph and his brothers meet again. Only the brothers still don't know they're meeting Joseph. They think they're meeting that nasty Sophnas Paner, the master. And of course, before they had bowed down to Joseph, but it had been only 10 of them. Now Binyamin is there too. And of course, even Binyamin does not know this is his brother. So all 11 bow down to Joseph. Guess what? Ka-ching! That's the first dream that Joseph had, for those who remember, that 11 bundles bow down to Joseph's bundle. So it was true. So Joseph and his brothers sit down to eat. The Egyptians separately, the brothers separately, Joseph separately, because it was an abomination for the Egyptians and the Jews to sit together for a meal. Of course, Joseph had to think of something that would make the brothers think he was a magician, because otherwise how would he know which brother came from which mother? Yaakov had 4 wives. In those days it was allowed. Well, Joseph very cleverly came up with his silver goblet, my divining cup, my magic cup, that tells me. Of course he knew. And the brothers were astounded, because they were all sitting in order of their births and whose mother they had. And Binyamin was given big portions. And Joseph was exceptionally moved and emotional when he saw Binyamin. So they enjoy their meal, they eat and drink, perhaps they're merry, and it's time for them to go on their way. So Joseph arranges, SPS, some people say, AK, also knows the Midrash, that it was Menashe again. Put my silver goblet in Binyamin's cup, let them go, and I will tell you when to chase after them and accuse them of stealing the silver goblet that you will put in the sack of grain that belongs to Binyamin. Gosh, that really is horrible. And so it was. They had left the city when the Egyptians chased after them and said, "What sort of kindness is this? We treated you so well and you have stolen from our master." The brothers rightly said, "But we haven't touched anything." And they said, "Even when we came to you before and we had the money in our sacks, we told you we had the money and you said it would be all right. Of course, please open all the sacks." And they did, one by one. Oh no. Yeah. Binyamin's sack showed the silver goblet. The brothers are heartbroken. This is the worst possible news. This could kill Yaakov. He's such an elderly man. How will he cope? They don't know what would Joseph do to Binyamin. It's very, very worrying. And they come back crestfallen to Joseph. And Joseph says, "Binyamin will be my servant. Bye." Oh no, that can't be true. That couldn't happen. That really couldn't happen. I mean, Shimon he'd released, but now he's taken Binyamin, Yaakov's only son left from Rachel, from Rachel. What's going to happen? What's going to be? Tune in next week and hopefully you'll see. Is Yehuda going to save the day? Is Joseph going to get his way? Listen to your mummies and daddies and do what they say. Listen to your mummies and daddies and don't forget to pray. Listen to your mummies and daddies, our rabbis lead the way. Then they will be happy. Take good care of yourselves. Can't wait to see you. Gonna take a little while longer. Bye.